It is 2 o'clock on March the 26th, and this meeting is called to order. Welcome to this, the 12th meeting in our 141st year. So real quickly, I'm going to start this meeting with a little Aesthetic Club trivia. What does a recent program on Morning Mayhem show on 103.7 The Buzz Radio Sports Channel, 3.8 million books delivered to the Arkansas children since 2005, and the Aesthetic Club have in common? Pat? It is Tandy Cobb's paper on Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. On a recent, I was in the car and listening to the Buzz because I'm a sports fan, and the staff and the listeners were texting and calling in because there was a book distribution going on, and the staff were taking their children, and the listeners were calling in saying, "My children go, this is a big event for us." And I thought, wow, that really probably would not have had much significance to me until I heard Tandy Cobb's paper. So considering we started as a reading club, we are traditional, but we are up to date. Welcome. With that, thank you, Lynn, for being here, always reliable. And to accommodate and help Lynn, please turn off your cell phones, which I just did myself. And don't forget to sign the attendance book or text Julie Hardy that you attended. It is now my privilege to welcome our guest. Please stand as you are recognized, and I do this from the podium now so that it is recorded. Patty Jackson is the guest of Jean Fitzgerald. Welcome. Nancy Phillips is the guest of Pat Torbestad. Mary Frances Cottom is the guest of Weta Keck and Phyllis Barrier. Welcome. And Camille Williams is the guest of Weta Keck. Luann C. is the guest of Robin Reynolds. Catherine Stewart is the guest of Charlotte Brown. And I think Catherine was an estate until she moved away, so we welcome you back home. Martha Hill is the guest of Carmen McHaney. And Joanne Riddick's guest is Joni McCaskill, a close friend of Diane Carroll. And I know. Are there any other guests that I don't have on my list? Oh, I'm sorry, Mary B. And Mary B. sent me, you did.
And Dale O'Donnell, the guest of Mary B. Grove.
It is nice to have you, and my apology. You are no less welcome. We're pleased to have all of you. And now it is my privilege to invite Joanne Riddick to the podium to present the memorial for Diane Reed Carroll.
They didn't have this back when we were doing this. Madam President, members and guests, a true Southern lady who was gentle, gracious, charming, and had a smile that could light up the world. Diane Reed Carroll was born in Shreveport, Louisiana, but left there at age 16 to attend the University of Arkansas, and she then became a lifelong Razorback fan. Many friendships made through affiliation with Pi Beta Phi led to trips in later years. She also met Phil Carroll, a returning veteran, and his Kappa Sigma buddies, and enjoyed happy times during their college years. Later, when Diane was working for Braniff Airlines as a flight attendant, she reconnected with Phil in Dallas, and this time he made sure she didn't get away. They married in October 1953 and were devoted to each other until his death in 2013. Phil was an attorney with the Rose Law Firm, and they settled in Little Rock, the beginning of a 70-year involvement in community affairs. While raising 3 girls, she managed to serve as president of the Little Rock Junior League, president of the Fine Arts Club, member of the Arts Center Board, and chair of Tabriz Auction. She also took an active role in her daughters' lives, serving on the Board of Trustees for Mount St. Mary's Academy and chairing the Senior Service Volunteer Program for 2 years. Diane attended Holy Souls Church for many years with her family and finally converted to Catholicism in 1990. She became a church Eucharistic minister, taking communion to homebound parishioners and patients and families at UAMS. She was a volunteer for the Stew Pot at First Presbyterian Church for many years. Does it surprise you to learn that she and a dear friend took Austin McCaskill to Holy Souls for Sunday services so his wife could attend her own church? Such was the ever-thoughtful, generous nature of this Southern belle. Diane joined the Aesthetic Club in 1985 and was co-chair of the Entertainment Committee 2 different times, serving on nominating, and was vice president in 94-95. Don't you wish you could hear her papers that range from Born on the Wrong Side of the Blanket in 1987? Y'all may want to look that one up. Digging Up the Rose in 83, and Method in Madness 2000. Diane briefly entered the professional world as executive director of the Little Rock Arts and Humanities Promotion Commission, but found that travel with Phil in his work with the National Conference of Commissioners on Uniform State Laws and supporting him took priority. Family was always important to Diane. Her sister and brother-in-law, Elizabeth and Bill Goss, and their girls lived in California, and they regularly visited each other. When Diane, Dee as she was called, became a grandmother of 5 and eventually a great-grandmother of 6, she was over the top with joy. Diane leaves behind 3 daughters, Becky of Pelham, Massachusetts, Susan Colgan of Dallas, Texas, Elizabeth Bradbury of Austin, Texas, her 5 grandchildren, and her 6 great-grandchildren. And lest I end this memorial on a somber note, I'll share another side of Diane, the steel magnolia Diane. This fun-loving friend since our days as young law wives at the Rose Law Firm, Diane was one of the original M girls who gathered each Thursday for margaritas. Determined to not let her health concerns keep her homebound, she regularly showed up. When she was simply unable to do so, they often brought the celebration to her. I am blessed to have crossed paths with this lovely, remarkable woman. Madam President, may this memorial be spread upon the minutes and copies shared with the family.
Thank you, Joanne, for that nice memorial. It's remarkable to stand on the shoulders of such great women. Now I will ask that Rebecca Winburn please come forward and share the decorations.
Hello, everyone. We have stargazer lilies over there. Tandy Cobb is my partner in crime today. We have sunflowers that represent the sun and brightness. And then there's that cool Earth, Moon, Sun model that I had to get someone else to put together for me. I can do it. We've got more flowers over there. And I believe this painting was done by Catherine, one of our speakers, our first speaker today. Hope you guys enjoy them.
Thank you. It's all lovely. The minutes from March 12th were distributed with the meeting agenda by email. Are there any changes or corrections? There being none, the minutes stand approved. Very quickly, announcements, membership. Printed copies of the guidelines to present a name for membership are available by the name tags. There are copies by the name tags. The deadline is April 23rd for Melinda Rayleigh to receive the nomination. If you have any questions, I defer to Melinda. Mary and Tandy will be taking reservations for the spring luncheon on May 7th at the 2 April meetings. The deadline, again, is April 23rd. Just write April 23rd, the Aesthetic Club deadline, across your April calendar. Julie Hardy will stick around after the meeting and assist you in programming her contact into your phone if you would like assistance, and you can more easily report virtual attendance. If you watch online, would you please, even if you go back and watch a meeting online, would you please let Julie know, because we are looking at the number of members that use the online services. So please let us know so we know how many are taking advantage of this opportunity. And are there any other announcements I've overlooked? I know I had several. Okay, then, as y'all know, one of my favorite parts of the meeting is the introduction of the chairman of the day, Dr. Jan Shorey. Jan joined the Aesthetic Club in 2020 upon her retirement. She has presented 2 papers, Politics and Pronouns, for which her medical career made her well qualified, and Lighthouses, for which her love of sailing made her a ready expert. Jan says that she deeply enjoyed her career in academic medicine that spanned 20 years with Harvard Medical School and 18 years at UAMS. The details of her career are on our website profile, and they are remarkable. What strikes me is that after the word retired appeared, there are more accomplishments and involvement listed, so she continued to serve in various roles. Notably, she received the Carol J. Bland Phronosis Award, a career service award for dedication to the development of others. Now, Jan, in her own words, relishes having close to full control of my own schedule. She putters in the kitchen, gardens, spends times with old friends, along with her husband, Lindsay. With her love of sailing, she has enjoyed some of the world's most beautiful coastlines, and the last page of my notes, and the most beautiful seas. She plans to observe the eclipse on Lake Maumelle aboard her, is it Pisces 21, named Imagine, and to celebrate her birthday on that day. 49 and holding, right? Serving on the program committee with Jan, I learned that she is passionate about seeing the strengths in a person and extremely caring. If Jan commits to a project, it is going to be very well done. Add this to her brilliant mind, and Jan no doubt helps friends and associates find light from what appears to be the dark. Jan?
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Good afternoon, all of you, Aesthete's guests. It's so good to see you on this truly glorious day in Central Arkansas. Our city has had a bath, lovely rain, high winds, but nothing twisted. The pollen count is down, for a moment. Enjoy that. Everywhere I look, there are a zillion shades of green, and when I stop and listen, the birds are very happy. So it's truly a glorious day. And depending on where you live, in proximity with Little Rock City Lights, last night you might have been able to see a zillion stars. It was crystal clear after the rain left us. So comedian and musician Steve Martin provided the quote for the day. In case you haven't read it, here you go. A day without sunshine is like, night. I anticipate that we're going to hear and learn about forces that have shaped this marvelous planet and universe, and some things that threaten it. We will hear about the very greatest force, gravity, causes the Earth to spin on its axis, and voila, we have day and night and day, and Cole Porter should come to mind. There are many cycles that we're going to hear about. That day and night cycle is absolutely dependable and predictable. We do depend on it. And it happens just like that every day and every night, except when that same great force, gravity, makes another cycle happen. Less common, but very dramatic. We'll hear all about an eclipse. There are smaller cycles within these great ones. You know many of them. 2 examples, circadian rhythms, that help every single plant and animal on the planet adapt. Think about the drama of the environmental changes that happen as we go through the day and then we go through the night. We just take that for granted. But so many things have to happen to keep animals and plants going through that great drama. There are also generational cycles, and cycles that are of great influence within this club. I'll tell you more about those as I introduce the 3 wonderful women who have given their considerable human energy, which is another very powerful force, to prepare our program today. So with that, I am delighted to introduce to you Catherine Caldwell, a new member of the club, and I would say a new friend. We couldn't stop talking on the phone when I called to learn about her. Catherine loves to be outdoors, in the woods, on lakes, hiking hills, or strolling the river trail, and she's happiest when she's accompanied by her husband, Ed, and a good dog. She's a native of Little Rock. Her family moved to Pine Bluff when she was in the 1st grade. That proved fortunate for many reasons, including the fact that she met Ed when she was in the 7th grade. Catherine and Ed followed independent paths for years, but re-met and married 27 years ago. They settled their blended family in Little Rock. Professionally, she taught 4th and 5th graders in several Little Rock schools for 33 years. Thank you, Catherine. One of those generational cycles I mentioned is that she was the beloved 5th grade teacher of my stepdaughter, Hope Thomas Dalton. Upon retirement, Catherine discovered the glories of being able to direct one's own schedule and have time and energy to pursue her creative passions. She took up the serious study of watercolor painting. Long, interesting story, just slightly shorter. She is a Diamond Signature member of the Mid-South Watercolor Group, which means that she's had her work accepted in a considerable number of juried art shows. She paints all kinds of subjects, but special among them are commissioned portraits of people's favorite dogs. She paints these portraits for friends. She's working on one that she'll take to a friend in Scotland this summer. But you should know that for a minimum commission of $100, she will paint the portrait of anyone's beloved pet, and then she contributes those funds to a local animal rescue organization. Think presents. Considering today's quote, I asked Catherine whether she's a morning lark or a night owl. She's not sure. She loves the freedom of not having to have a strict temporal routine now, as she certainly did as a teacher for 33 years. And she wonders if there's a bird who's particularly happy to get at the day's tasks around 10 a.m. Please welcome Catherine Caldwell.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jan. Madam President, Madam Chairman, guests, and fellow aesthetes, dark skies, there's still time. It's not too late to enjoy the beauty and wonder of our night. Our night sky that has captivated humanity for centuries, inspiring poets and scientists alike. So tonight, when it's dark, find a spot in your backyard and maybe drive to a place where you can look up and see the sky in all its beauty without being blinded by city lights and porch lights on your street. Or better still, make a pallet in the grass. Lie down, look up, and remember what it's like when we were young. So much has changed in the last 100 years. There's still time to share the night beauty with others. Lie down, look up, and remember, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. You might be wondering, what has changed in the last 100 years? Well, the greatest impact has been the growth of human population from 2 billion in 1924 to 8 billion in 2024. Closer to home in Little Rock, just acknowledge, as our city grows, so do the street lights and the shopping districts, and each home will want to have a porch light, possibly security lights and cameras. Our gas stations will be lit up so one can't be missed, as well as restaurants and places of entertainment. Looking at this world map on the poster, one can see the light pollution that is needed for 8 billion people. This amount of light limits our ability to truly see the night sky. People living in cities with high level of sky glow have a hard time seeing more than a handful of stars at night. Astronomers are particularly concerned with the sky glow as it reduces their ability to view celestial objects. More than 80% of the world population and 99% of Americans and Europeans live under sky glow. There are 3 kinds of light pollution besides sky glow: glare, clutter, and light trespass. Glare is excessive brightness that can cause visual discomfort when driving. Clutter is bright, confusing, excessive grouping and light sources like the Times Square in New York City. Light trespass is when light extends into an area where it's not needed or wanted, like a street light illuminating in a nearby bedroom window. Most lighting is poorly positioned, sending wasted electricity up to the sky. Artificial light can also wreak havoc on natural body rhythms in both humans and animals. Nocturnal light interrupts sleep and confuses the circadian rhythm, the internal 24-hour clock that guides the day and night activities and affects physiological processes in all living organisms. One of these processes is the production of the hormone melatonin, which is released when it's dark, inhibited when there's light present. An increased amount of light in night lowers the melatonin production, which results in sleep deprivation, fatigue, headaches, stress, anxiety, and other health problems. And in fact, new scientific discoveries about health effects of artificial light have convinced the American Medical Association to support efforts to control light pollution and conduct research on the potential risk of exposure to light at night. Blue light, in particular, has been shown to reduce levels of melatonin in humans. The blue light is found in cell phones and other computer devices, as well as LED lights. Animals are also affected by light pollution with their migrating patterns, wake-sleep habits, and habitat formation studies show. Every year, billions of birds migrate north in the spring and south in the fall. The majority of the birds fly at night, navigating using the moon, stars, and night sky. As they pass over big cities, they become disoriented by bright artificial lights and sky glow. According to Cornell Lab of Ornithology, an estimated 600 million birds in the United States die each year from collision with buildings. Because of light pollution, sea turtles and birds guided by the moonlight during migration get confused, lose their way, and often die. Large number of insects, primary food source for birds and other animals, are drawn to artificial lights and are instantly killed upon contact with light sources. Many cities have adopted a lights out program to turn off building lights during bird migration. While lights can throw birds off their migration path, bird fatalities are more directly caused by the amount of energy that birds waste flying around, calling out in confusion. Yet just one building can cause major problems for birds in the area. Within 1 week in 2017, nearly 400 warblers and grosbeaks were caught in the floodlight of a 32-story Texas skyscraper and killed in window collisions. A study of blackbirds in Germany found that traffic noise and artificial night lighting causes birds in the city to become active earlier than birds in the natural waking area, and singing as much as 5 hours earlier than their country cousins. Even animals living under the sea may be affected by underwater artificial light. One study looked at how marine animals responded to brightly lit panels submerged underwater off the coast of Wales. Fewer filter-feeding animals, such as the sea squirt and sea bristle, made their homes near the lighted panels. This could mean that light from oil rigs, passing ships, and harbors is altering marine ecosystems. Even in places meant to provide protected natural habitat for wildlife, light pollution is making an impact. The National Park Service, NPS, has maintained a dark sky priority. The NPS Night Sky Team has been monitoring night sky brightness in some 100 parks. Nearly every park showed at least some light pollution. There are several organizations working to reduce light pollution. One of these is the US-based International Dark Sky Association, IDA, who invites us to discover the night, and it will celebrate Dark Sky Week, April the 2nd through the 8th in 2024. International Dark Sky was formed in 1988 to preserve the natural night sky. IDA educates the public and certifies parks and other places that have worked to reduce light emission. In 2017, the IDA approved the first U.S. dark sky reserve, the massive Central Idaho Dark Sky Reserve, which clocks in at 1,416 square miles. According to its website, in 2024, over 200 places around the world have been certified as dark sky reserves. In 2024, darksky.org website identified over 160,000 square kilometers of protected land and night sky in 22 countries on 6 continents. There's a list of 15 national parks in the U.S. where people can view the Milky Way. You might want to notice those in that map. Yeah. These parks are known for their dark skies and provide excellent opportunity for stargazing and viewing the Milky Way. The travel business is also paying attention to the stargazing. In the latest Travel and Leisure magazine, October 23, there's an article about a new sky watching dome glamping style accommodations in Alberta, Canada. With Arkansas being a natural state, it's only natural that we would jump in as an affiliate in the International Dark Sky Association with Dark Sky Association, who has had a sky watching festival September 23 near the Buffalo River in Arkansas, and a second one coming up this September in 2024. We can thank our own Bruce McMath of Little Rock, who was honored by International Dark Sky Association last year in his work at a local level in combating light pollution and fostering support for IDA's mission and programs. Each person can contribute to reducing light pollution in their own homes and communities. Use outdoor lighting only when necessary and ensure it's properly shielded. Install motor sensors or timers can further reduce unnecessary illumination. And choose energy-efficient lighting options, such as LED lights. Please look at the poster for tips on how you can reduce light pollution, and that's right up there. Yeah. I certainly plan to do my part in combating light pollution in hopes that one day I can share the night sky with my great-grandchildren and say with them, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky." And remember, there's still time. It's not too late to change our habits. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. My husband and I are remodeling a home, and I'm thinking about how the outdoor lighting needs to be shielded. I won't forget. Okay, we're in for another treat. Yes, our Wita Keck is going to play for us today. If I counted correctly, this will be her 16th performance since joining the club in 2015, and I don't believe that counts all the many times she has skillfully accompanied other aesthetes. Dr. Keck is a professor emerita of music from Ouachita Baptist University, where she was a faculty member for 30 years. Please do look at Wita's webpage in our club if you're not already familiar with her extraordinarily accomplished career, performing, teaching, and administering organizations that bring the excitement and joy of music to other people. She has contributed locally, across our state, and across the country. It's very impressive. When I called to speak with her about how she'd like to be introduced today, it wasn't her national reputation she wanted me to talk about. It was about cycles within the club that have been meaningful to her. So I'll start. There are two examples. First, Linda Trapp. Some of you knew her. Third from the left up here, a former president. So it's a great story. Ms. Trapp was also an accomplished musician and musician educator, and a person to whom we are all grateful for the existence of that piano. So way back when, just a few years ago, the very first time Wita participated in a piano competition, Linda was a judge. Yes, indeed, of course, Dr. Keck won the competition. But then the really lovely part was that Linda adopted her and George and very frequently had them to her home where they played for each other, sharing the joy of music that they both felt so strongly about. And today, Wita will play the piano that Linda arranged for us to have. So there's one. And the second example, I hope also known to some of you, the late Genevieve Emmerling, hopefully known to you. She, like Wita, had a sparkling national performance career, and when she retired from her professional performing, she forwarded music with leadership skills, serving many national organizations. But one in particular that's meaningful to Wita is that she was a director of the National Foundation of Music Clubs of America, of which Wita was later the president. They're very connected. Genevieve died at age 96 in 2017, but you should note that she gave a paper on her 90th birthday. There's a bar we should all aspire to meet. Please welcome our own vibrant and generous Dr. Wita Keck, who will introduce.
Thank you, Jan. Madam President, fellow aesthetes and guests, as I approach today's topics dealing with the solar eclipse and dark skies, I found myself gravitating toward music that I feel reflects artistic angst. Interpretation of these topics inspired by dread about the human condition or the state of the world in general. It has been said that a solar eclipse often inspires artists and musicians, and American Scott Lloyd Shelley's score, written to accompany the video game Terraria, is no exception. The game, first released for Windows in May of 2011, revolves around exploration, building, crafting, combat, and survival. It creates a solar eclipse which lasts all day and requires several difficult steps, including destroying demons such as the Destroyer, the Twins, and Skeletron Prime. Prior to scientific study of the causes and effects of the solar eclipse, the most common myth was that the experience was that of a demon engulfing the sun. To me, this part of Terraria's video game, Solar Eclipse, and the varying moods in the music are possibly influenced by the myth. See whether you agree. Borobudur, pictured in the poster up there, is a temple located in the heart of Indonesia, and it originates from the 8th and 9th centuries, is situated on a sacred hill, and is the largest Buddhist temple in the world. Known as the shrine of many Buddhas, the hundreds of sculptures, images, and reliefs of Buddha are especially impressive in the moonlight, creating a sense of the disillusion of all earthly things and the struggle of humans against eternity. Again, an example of artistic angst. In 1925, Lithuanian-born American pianist, composer, and teacher-composer Leopold Godowsky composed the Java Suite for piano, and Borobudur in Moonlight is one of the pieces in this impressionistic sounding set of 12 pieces. Try closing your eyes as you imagine the amazing dimensions and incredible craftsmanship while listening to the accompanying music as darkness surrounds this architectural masterpiece designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is impossible to think of dark skies and night music without thinking of the Polish Romantic composer Frédéric Chopin, born in 1810. During his short life of 39 years, he created some of the world's most famous piano compositions, the 21 nocturnes or night pieces being some of his best known. One would not normally think of Chopin as being a person concerned with light pollution and ecology in the 1800s, but as an educator and performer, it is possible to see artistic angst in this particular nocturne I will play for you, Opus 48, number 1 in C minor. The piece consists of 3 sections. The first a very slow and meditative one, the next showing growing agitation and anger over life's disruptions, and the third expressing a depth of despair one might feel when faced with potential negative issues resulting from the condition of the human race and the state of the world in general. But fortunately for us, Chopin does not leave us in the depths of despair, but instead we hear acceptance at the end, as he seems to resolve some of his artistic angst in this deeply moving C minor composition with a seemingly peaceful ending.
Maybe I can breathe. Talking, I'm not so sure. But I can because I get to introduce Matilda Buchanan. Matilda Buchanan is likely known to every single person in this room, except perhaps a few of our new members and some of our guests. She joined the club in 2001. She has blessed us with her considerable skills as an educator and an administrator, including service as the club's president from 2019 through 2020, the heart of the pandemic. We never missed a meeting. Very much thanks to Matilda for that. I'm confounding our presidents, Melinda and Matilda. I do know who you are. So Matilda loves many things, including brevity and succinct statements. So I am to tell you to go to the website to read about her many things. It doesn't tell you about her work as a private investigator. You can ask her directly about that. If you haven't read her 2020 paper about the American eye, I very strongly recommend it to you. Matilda is a morning lark. She relates to chickens. She's up with the sun and goes to bed by dark. I asked her if she likes chickens. She says she likes them fried and she likes eggs. She considers them nasty, mean birds, but she has an affinity for them. So please welcome the marvelous Matilda Buchanan.
Before I get started, if you did not pick up Eclipse glasses when you came in and signed in, make sure you do. They're not quite as fancy as mine. These are official steampunk Eclipse glasses. I gave all my family some of these for Christmas. And since you're already over here in East Little Rock, you might want to go on over to Lost 40 and pick up the official Eclipse beer. Arkansas Eclipse of the Heart is at I-40, and since this is a city-owned building, I couldn't bring in alcohol, so I sacrificed and drank some. It's a pretty good IPA, so I think you might like it. What I do for the Aesthetic Club. Madam President, fellow aesthetes and guests, at the risk of this being like the Mel Brooks movie, History of the World Part 1, I will address eclipses in general and our own imminent total eclipse of the sun. Ever since there has been a sun, an earth, and a moon, say 4 billion years or so, they've been getting in each other's way. In cosmic terms, they are so close they stumble into each other. They each spin their own spins and travel their own routes. Regular as clockwork, they pass by each other and block the view. Of course, for there to be a view, there has to be a viewer. And the viewer must be in the path of the eclipse. The sun, earth, and moon take only gravitational notice of each other. Animals get a bit skittish, but we humans, as always, think everything is about us. Leaders project God's will. Writers project eclipsean justification to characters. And merchants and civic leaders see dollar signs projected in the heavens. All gaze upward and ask, what will this eclipse do for me? Early humans began burial rituals about 100,000 years ago. Hunter-gatherers watched the sky, nothing much else to do except trying to get something to eat or keep from being eaten. However, most likely, the tracking of the sun and the moon became more significant with the rise of farming and the beginning of permanent settlements. They needed to know when to plant, and by observing the sky, predict the seasons for a specific locale. Any anomaly from the set routine of heavens would be observed and deemed significant. Cause and effect wallowed around in myth and religion until writing and mathematics produced astronomers. All ancient cultures observed the sky, including Chinese, Inca, and Native Americans. Of course, the first moon watchers were women who have always calculated lunar cycles. By the 6th century BCE, mathematics and astronomy had advanced enough that observation of an eclipse was firmly joined by prediction. Thales of Miletus predicted an eclipse of the sun in 585 BCE. This was the first prediction of an eclipse in Western tradition. Thales' prediction was an advancement, but also intriguing because later it verified Herodotus' history, especially the account of the battle between the Medes and the Lydians. According to Herodotus, the eclipse caused the armies to stop fighting and made them anxious to conclude peace. Thus occurred our first interdisciplinary collaboration between science and the humanities. Not only does Thales' prediction and the corresponding eclipse, recounted in Herodotus, bolster the historian's credibility, but it helped determine the geographical location of the battle. As time passed and mathematical computations became more exact, predictions not only revealed the coming date, but the location and duration of the upcoming eclipse. Predictions varied in precision. Some astronomers were better at math than others, and there are variations in the universe. For example, the rotation of the Earth can be affected by the pull of the moon on tides, causing a variance of seconds, even minutes, in the duration of the eclipse. Most total eclipses were 3 or 4 minutes, but some exceeded 6 minutes. I have a new guest to invite to my fantasy dinner party. Fred Espenak, known as Mr. Eclipse. Now retired, Fred was an astrophysicist at NASA, specializing in eclipse predictions. But dear to my old English history teacher heart, I think his greatest achievement is the creation of a NASA eclipse website that correlates historical eclipses with references in ancient to modern literature. Think about that. Not only can the science nerds calculate backwards to know when and where eclipses happened, but now, thanks to Fred and his cohorts, we can connect historical eclipses with events recounted in literature and historical documents. Total solar eclipses happened in what is now Israel on November the 29th, 29 CE, and March the 19th, 33 CE. Each is a good candidate for the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth. Another is the eclipse of November the 24th, 569 CE, which coincides with the birth of Muhammad. Not only does the website provide exact type, location, and duration of the eclipses, but it provides quotations from the literary and historical documents which describe the eclipse. Fred cites his sources. Be still my heart. Ancient and medieval writers made good use of eclipses to pound home their political agendas. Here is William of Malmesbury on King Henry's leaving England. The elements manifested their sorrow, for the sun on that day at the 6th hour shrouded his glorious face in hideous darkness, agitating the hearts of men by an eclipse. Most of these writers, including the ancient Chinese and ancient Greeks, write long after the eclipse, using it to explain and justify their conclusions. When human exploitation of eclipses becomes even more self-serving is after Gutenberg gives us the printing press in 1436. One of the first books printed was Calendarium by Johannes Müller von Konigsberg, printed in Venice in 1476. It contained mathematical-based astronomical tables predicting lunar and solar eclipses for the next several years. Once books are available, they can be put to all manner of trickery. On his second voyage to the New World, Columbus took a copy of the Calendarium. In a letter home, he bragged about his use of the book. In February 1504, the Indians refused to supply any more food to the 50-odd Spaniards marooned in the small bay of Santa Gloria in Jamaica. Calendarium predicted a full lunar eclipse on February the 29th, 1504. On this day, Columbus entertained all the local Indians aboard his ship, Capitania. He addressed them, explaining that the Spaniards were Christians, that they believed in one God who lived in the heavens and who was about to punish the Indians with pestilence and famine if they did not supply food to the Spaniards. As a mark of his intent, God would display a sign in the sky, a blackening out of the moon. Right on cue, a dark shadow began to pass over the face of the moon. Abject fear gripped the Indians. They begged Columbus to intercede on their behalf. He retired to his cabin for 1 hour and 50 minutes, then returned. God, he informed them, was prepared to withdraw the threat of punishment so long as they behaved themselves and resumed supplies of food and other necessities to the Christians, and to pardon them, in token of which he would withdraw the shadow of the moon. As the eclipse cleared, the Indians marveled, and from that time forward, they always took care to provide what the Spaniards needed. This illustrates horrible ethics and the human tendency to use a bit of knowledge to our own advantage. Mark Twain indulges in similar shenanigans in A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. Twain is joined by Captain Kirk in several Star Trek episodes when the prime directive is sacrificed to the expediency of managing the natives. Humanity's use of eclipse predictions is not always morally suspect. An example is the most important total solar eclipse of the 20th century and maybe of any century. On May 29, 1919, the total solar eclipse lasted a whopping 6 minutes and 51 seconds. Einstein, in his theory of general relativity, published in 1919, proposed that space is curved by the mass of objects. To prove the theory, 2 expeditions, one to the west coast of Africa and another to the coast of Brazil, photographed the shadow of the moon, revealing the bending of starlight caused by the mass of the sun, which verified the sun's gravitational influence on the starlight. This confirmed that light has mass, that space is not static, that the motion of objects can change space and time. With those photographs of bending starlight on May 29, 1919, Newton was eclipsed by Einstein, and our knowledge of space, time, and the universe was changed forever. Any location on Earth will have significant total eclipse only once in about 100 years. The last one in Little Rock was June 8, 1918. It was cloudy that day. Our time is coming. In 2 weeks, we will witness a total solar eclipse lasting about 3 minutes. Predictions are for an additional 700,000 cars on the roads, bringing 2 million visitors to swamp the interstate highways as if they're not already bad enough. Cell service may crash again. Prices have skyrocketed on all hotel rooms and B&Bs. The eclipsers will overwhelm parks, campgrounds, RV hookups, restrooms, and restaurants. If you need some extra cash, you might consider renting out a room or charging for parking in front of your house. Think bigger than a Razorback game against Texas in the 1970s. Ladies, your daily routine is about to be totally eclipsed. You won't be able to get to the grocery or the liquor store. Get your hair done and nails done at least a week before. These gazers will arrive a day or so before April 8th and stay for a few days afterwards. It should be a great party. Most large and small towns in the path of totality will have events and view locations. War Memorial Park will provide 54,000 seats for viewing, food trucks, vendors for souvenirs, and entertainment for children. Porta potties will be everywhere. For $1,500, the zoo will let you and 5 friends view the eclipse there. You get eclipse glasses, a Bloody Mary or a screwdriver, and fried catfish. P. Allen Smith offers you lunch at Moss Mountain for $99, so you can view the eclipse from his back garden. Good luck getting there. So hang on to your official NASA-approved view glasses and hope it doesn't rain on your eclipse.
Shining on, Matilda. If there's no other business, today's meeting is adjourned. Thank you.